Hey everybody, it's Deanna with toolsofernergyprotection.com, your energy shift expert, and welcome to Tuesday, August 18th, 2020. How is everybody doing? Woo! Emotional triggers are everywhere, and it seems like we have purchased, if you will, in the emotional trigger department, it seems like we had to go out and purchase a tag, and how many of them can you bag kind of thing. I know, a little bad humor. Anyway, thank you for joining me. It's, yeah. I was watching somebody that I follow the other night, and his comment was basically the way I've been feeling, which is, there's just no words anymore. What can you say right now? So in my infinite wisdom, I have been pitying myself, thinking I was the only one. You know how it is when you're, going through something, you think that it's just you. And it turns out it's not just you. And some of my very beautiful clients in the last couple days have either texted me or called me and said, I have emotional triggers happening everywhere. So immediately I went, woohoo! Because so was I. And I thought it was just me. And I thought it was the healing that I'm going through and the process that I'm going through. And I'm finding out that where we are right now in time and space, the pressure, no matter what Schumann's looks like, the pressure is being held to force us to look at our triggers. And you might say to me, Deanna, what's a trigger? Well, let's just use an example of one of the ladies I spoke to today. She told me that she's living in a house and in a different city, and she's desiring to move her practice towards a city that's, a couple of hours away, and wants to establish it. She's all excited and she has plans and she thinks, great, now I'm going to go back to my house and I'm going to go back to where I live so that I can get myself ready to transition to this new move. And it's exciting and wonderful. And she gets back to her house and emotionally the triggers come up. I'm not worthy. I'm not good enough. The venture will fail. I don't deserve to make that much money. How many of you out there are feeling the same way or have felt the same way? Hi, Becky. How many of you have that going on right now where you have this huge stir, this desire in your heart to move forward, to do something different, to obtain a new goal, and you have a passion about it? And as long as it's in your head, you're good. But when you begin to take steps to bring it into fruition, it's scary. There's a trigger that goes off. And that trigger comes from the neuro mapping of your brain from when you were a child. It might have been from your parents. It might have been from your teachers or leaders in your life. But when we're young, we watch and we absorb everything and put it in our brain for later in life to access. And so somewhere, if you're struggling to take that next step forward, if you're struggling to come into abundance mentality as opposed to lack, whether it be in your health, your wealth, or your romance department, if you're struggling, that means somewhere along the way, somebody through word or action told you or showed you you were not good enough to have their attention. You weren't good enough to share time with, and maybe not even good enough to have money, whether it was spoken or not spoken. And so that's where we find ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we find ourselves right now. There's 3 planets holding this space and putting on the pressure for us to look at our triggers. And so tonight, I would like to share with you a few ways to work through your triggers. Wait, what was that? What's a trigger? A trigger is an emotion that was programmed into your mind when you were a little kid, telling you that you were bad or wrong for doing something, whatever it was, and you still believe it today. Women, does this sound familiar? Don't ask for too much. Be a polite girl. Be a polite wife. Let him come home and relax, and don't ask him for too much. Because it might upset him. So you need to be quiet. Suppress your needs for him. How many of that sounds familiar? If you're watching later, give me a thumbs up. And no, I'm not badgering men or coming down on men. What I'm saying is the way society has taught women to think, it's to create a space bigger that excludes her to serve others, whether it's a spouse, whether it's, children. Moms usually put themselves last. And that's a trigger. So if you grew up seeing that, or you had a former marriage where you felt like you had to make yourself really small in order to get along, then now when it's time for you to go big, to expand your consciousness, to grow your business, to grow your spiritual wisdom, to become healthier, there's going to be a little tiny voice inside that says, that's not safe. And we want to keep you safe. Can I get a thumbs up? There must be a presidential debate on tonight. I guess not very many people on tonight or interacting. So either they're in shock about what I'm saying, or I'm full of it. So we'll just go on. But the idea is to find out what made you feel lesser than, what made you feel small. Why? Oh, look, there's one thumbs up. Yay, okay. What made you feel like you couldn't fulfill the purpose that you're being shown now? What are the triggers? So if you were made in your young growing up life to sit down, shut up, be quiet, or for men, show up to work, sit in your cubicle, shut up, do your job, punch out, go home. I'm going to be fair, a little bit more fair to men. What if that's what you were taught? And now God's Spirit or Source is calling you to something greater, because this world is changing. The economy of this world is changing. Opportunities are changing. And the C word, we're going to have to participate in the C word even if we don't want to. And so we know that consciously. And we may be seeking something different, such as the young woman I talked about. But if we're not seeking that something different with passion and all of our might, and understanding there's going to be triggers, then we're going to hold ourselves back. And that's not good. And in full transparency, I know you all will forgive me. I'm doing this Academy level 1, 2, and 3. And I got level 1, level 2, and then I stopped at 3. And I kept telling myself, I got to put that on the calendar. I got to put a date out there. I got to get this going. Why am I, staggering, myself? Why am I not getting it out there? What's my issue? And, I had to take a good look at that. Yes, I'm a busy person. Yes, I have a lot going on in my life. But putting a date on a calendar, inviting people to a class that are ready to come, and sending out the handouts really isn't that challenging. But in here, if I did that, then I might be really successful. And in my growing up, I was the person that was told that I was not important enough to be successful in something I enjoyed. You do this, the family's happy. You do this, the family's happy. You do this, or we will withdraw from you our money and our love. That wasn't every member of the family, but it was a particular member of the family. And how many of you have been hurt in that manner? You know, maybe you had 5 or 6 brothers and sisters and you were the runt of the litter, you know? But there's so many of us that have been pushed to the side, pushed down, told what to do, and none of it fit us, but we did it for whatever reason. To keep the peace, to be accepted, to receive love. If we do this, if I'm a good girl, I'll receive this love, right? But now, with where the state of the world is and the transformation of the world that we're living on, the way that the Schumann's frequencies are coming so fast and furious, and the ups and the downs, it's changing constantly. We started out in the COVID season with like headaches and major fatigue and, you know, all those other things. And now we are in the season of triggers. So I finally found out what my trigger was. And I got with my IT guy and I said, let's get these classes up so people can get registered for them. And we were working on that today. And the way that I thought the platform would run, you know, where you guys could click on it and it would instantly enroll you, isn't apparently that smooth. So still have to make some adjustments to it. But regardless, I'm going to put up some links tomorrow. I will send out some emails. I'm committing to do that. No matter what the triggers look like, I'm going to knuckle through it. And I'm going to accept that I can take imperfect action and still be loved and received well. How many of you out there feel like you can't take imperfect action because it won't be perfect? And if it's not perfect, it's not acceptable. If it's not acceptable, you won't be loved. Can I get a hands up, a thumbs up, a care? Ooh, there comes one. Good. So that's what I'm saying. If you're having a, oh good, there comes another one. Yay. Thank you. Big hugs. But the keys for tonight that I'm giving you to help yourself. Oh, good, I got another one. Thank you. Is I'd like for you to notice what your triggers are as you're moving forward. Okay, you have a goal, you have a passion. What is it? And when you begin to step into it, what happens down inside? What's the knee-jerk reaction? The example of the gal I gave earlier is she's very talented, gifted. She lives in this one place and she'd like to move only 2 hours away and establish a new practice. There's lots of folks there who would just love her up, you know, and she knows that. And yes, there's logistics of getting things done and all that, you know, washing the dishes and all that stuff that goes on behind the scenes. But she's ready to go and she's so excited, and God is calling her to that location and saying, come here and I will bless you. And she checks it out and she's like, woohoo, right? And then after she checks it out, she comes back home, and that's when fear and doubt triggers. That's when the place she's living now triggers her to being not good enough. What if you fail? You know, nobody will see you. Nobody will buy from you. Those are triggers. So how do you work through those triggers? Well, one of the things you do is you find something that you align with first, okay? When you align with something, that's something that you resonate with. So she aligns with her particular business. She resonates with helping people feel better. That is what her passion is. And once you align yourself to your passion, or what's deep down in your heart, once you align yourself to that, then you see what it's going to take to make that happen. You know, what are the steps, at least the ones you're aware of? I found out today there were some when I worked on my website that I wasn't aware of. But we'll get it. But you find out what you're aware of. And then you're going to start every day impassioned. Okay? Every day. No more dragging yourself up out of the bed and saying, gosh, I'm depressed. I don't want to go to work. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Right? I mean, be real. How many of you are like that? I got to do this. I got to do that. We're going to turn that around to, I have an opportunity today to engage in whatever you're engaging in. I have an opportunity to engage in going to work today while on the side I am building my side hustle. Or today I get to go out and smile to people, even if they can't see me under my COVID mask, as opposed to you're locked at home in bed or unable to get up or function. But you find that passion that's within inside of you and you align yourself to it. Find out the necessary steps to make and get going. Get going. Make a little plan. You can always reevaluate, every 7 days, every month, every, week or whatever it is. But that's how to get past this. And if you find yourself still in fear, till Hades won't have it, then reach out to me. Go to the website, click on contact or appointments, and reach out to me. And let's get together and find out what's really going on. What's happening for you? Because those triggers are real and they're back here. And they can be changed. They can be transformed. But you've got to be aligned and impassioned with what you're doing and watch your statements about yourself. If you say, I'm going to lose weight, but I've always been overweight. What have you just done? You've set yourself your own stumbling block up. So instead, if weight is your issue, you can say, you know what? I am a healthy person that happens to, at the moment, have a little extra weight. And then align yourself with that healthy person. That's where your thinking is. If you align yourself with being overweight, you won't switch. You might go on a diet, lose a few pounds, and then you're going to go right back. So change the way you're talking about yourself. If you're unemployed, don't say, oh, I'm unemployed and I have no money. Instead say, I have a new opportunity to discover something different in my vocation. I have an opportunity to meet new people. I have an opportunity to make more money than I did before. Align yourself with that happy person that just hasn't found their place to land yet. Okay? And then get out there. What's available to you? What skills do you have? Who can you call that you already know? Ask them if they know of anybody who's looking for a, fill in the blank. You know anybody who's looking for a web designer? I design websites. Well, so-and-so might be, available. Here, let me give you their number. Thank them for their time and keep going. And then some of you, during this time, have become very aware that during this time where everybody's had to be at home 24/7 with so many other people, that they're getting divorced or separating. Okay? So there's a lot of divorce and separation going on because of this lockdown. People are discovering the person they're with is also causing them lots of triggers. Where when they didn't live together, but maybe a few hours every day and on the weekends, it wasn't so bad. So align yourself with either you're a person who's going to exit or you're a person who's going to stay. And wherever that is, have a passion. If you're going to stay, then do something fun with your spouse or your significant other that you haven't done since you were first dating. Fire it up. Make it exciting. If you're choosing to exit, line your ducks up. Put yourself in passion with the exit and line those ducks up. And if you're attempting to leave and you feel the triggers, look at those. I have talked to a few people, actually texted them, didn't talk to them, that are leaving narcissistic relationships. And it's hard to walk out from them because they've got you hooked, right? And there's lots of codependency and self-worth triggers. So get some help with that. But if anybody has any questions, hi Debbie, good to see you. So just like I said, it must be opposite of a presidential address or something that I didn't know about or something. But more people watch it in the feed later when I repost it. But that's it. It's not a particularly fun subject, although so many of you are facing it. And I'm going to repost this on YouTube and toolsofenergyprotection.com on my website. And there's so many folks that are telling me, you know, that they have triggers going off all over the place, that they've been wanting to do something, desiring to move it, and they feel like just everything blows up in their face and they don't get it done. And it's not the little things like, you know, you got to do this or you got to do that. It's more about what's on your inner game. What's on the inside? Are you worthy? If you do this, will you be loved? Are you valuable enough to be seen, or do you feel invisible? Those are the things. So if you would like to work on those things and you want to get together with me, you go to toolsofenergyprotection.com and click on appointments if that feels right for you, and schedule time that we can get together and help you to free yourself from those triggers. And I will give you conscious exercises to do, give you a little homework, and then I'll check back up with you and see how you're doing. Because it's such a beautiful time to be alive, and the time to be in fear is gone. We've got to move forward. We've got to become more alert and awake and aware and open our hearts, because this is a dynamic time of change, which can be scary, but it can also be the most wonderful thing for your future. This could be the turning point for your life. So big hugs and kisses. Thank you so much for joining me. And I'll see you here on Tuesday night next week, or at the For Heaven's Sakes bookstore down in Denver at 303-964-9339. Have a good night.